Mr. Scott Benzie, you have the floor, Mr. Benzie.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honourable Senators. I'm here representing Digital First Canada, a new advocacy group for online creators. We are an independent grassroots organization that I founded, and we are grateful to receive support from our industry partners that value creators, including YouTube, TikTok, and Henry's. I would like to tackle this bill in 4 parts: the good, the bad, the ugly, and then address the doomsday scenario. First, the good. This legislation forces online platforms to contribute meaningfully and financially to Canada's culture sector, and that is a good thing. And we would support efforts to address algorithmic transparency, solutions for creator burnout, and driving funding from digital platforms back into the creators responsible for its success. And finally, the intentions of this bill are good. But the bad here is that those intentions simply aren't reflected in the actual bill, and that creates serious problems for digital creators. Let me explain why. At a macro level, Bill C-11 looks backwards, and it applies yesterday's solutions for broadcasting problems to today's digital success story. In doing so, it raises a number of concerns. First, it raises concerns of which voices get heard. The bill, as currently written, means that the CRTC would decide which content deserves to be at the front of the line, and not Canadians. It creates an approach where some creators get promoted over others. Platforms are binary. The promotion of one means the demotion of another. In seeking to promote Canadian content this way, it will actually pit one kind of Canadian creator against another. It also raises concerns about fairness. Creators would face an insane regulatory burden to qualify for official CanCon status. And keep in mind, this certification system must be met for every piece of content. It is not simply a question of a creator's nationality. For a daily vlogger, a Twitch streamer, or a TikTok trend center, that is practically impossible. This puts them at a huge disadvantage to Bell Media and Rogers, who have entire teams of teams who do this every day. It's important to note here, Senators, that today, almost every digital creator does not qualify and has not taken any funding from the public purse. To be clear, Bill C-11 is asking digital platforms to contribute to a system that creators that use those platforms have no access to. What does that mean in practice? Emerging voices would lose the level playing field they depend on today, and large media companies would have a leg up at their expense. We've heard that creators won't succeed if they first don't succeed at home. There is no bigger piece of misinformation out there. Creators' livelihoods, their businesses, and their futures are at risk of being stifled by applying old approaches to today's thriving creator economy. The ugly, because this has definitely gotten ugly. Digital creators are being thrown under the bus. I've been working with digital creators for 10 years because I'm passionate about the content they create. When Bill C-10 was changed at the last moment, we spoke up in opposition. I was told we needed to organize to have our voices heard, so I created Digital First Canada. And since that moment, DFC and individual creators have endured attacks from MPs, hit pieces in the press, and we've been told by our legacy media peers that we have no agency. They attempt to discredit and delegitimize us because we represent a different point of view. At the government's National Art Summit, when the topic of digital creators came up, an attendee yelled, "That's not art," to a round of applause. Our efforts have been labeled as misinformation, despite legal experts, organizations like FPRC, the Internet Society, Open Media, PIAC, and most importantly, the CRTC chair himself confirming exactly what we've been saying all along. Digital creators are not pawns of platforms. They do not work for them. They are creative entrepreneurs, and they do not deserve to have their place on open platforms stolen by legacy cultural players who believe they are entitled to top billing. For too long, digital creators have been rejected by establishment cultural groups in Canada, and now we are being attacked for asking for a seat at the table on legislation that could destroy our businesses. So how do we move forward? This is the Senate. Sober second thought. I hope you will listen to the arguments we present. Our ask is simple. Section 4.2 needs clarity into what is in and what is out, because it currently includes the entire internet. Something this critical cannot be left to the CRTC to wade through. Section 9.1 needs to be clear that dynamic changes to algorithms are off the table, because messing with them is messing with Canadian businesses and access to their audiences. Before I close, we have to address the worst case doomsday scenario. If Canada takes this approach with UGC, it cannot expect fair and equal treatment abroad. If similar legislation is enacted in other countries, Canada will be responsible for laying the groundwork that destroyed the businesses of hundreds of thousands of Canadian creators. Access to global markets is not a nice to have. It is an imperative, and I hope you all understand the gravity of that scenario. You may not like me, you may even find me disagreeable, but the concerns I share are very real and impact Canadians across the country. I have a letter I will circulate later, signed by a group of creators who share our concerns. This small letter represents over 200 million subscribers and tens of thousands of billions of global views a year. This is a small group of 30 creators. Will you listen to them? Thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr.